I'm here with a group of city, county, and community leaders who have been with us every step of the way in building the kind of Cincinnati that our children and grandchildren can be proud of. As you can see, there are far too many to announce individually, but there are leaders here from law enforcement at both the county and the city, including public safety professionals like our firefighters, business leaders, community leaders, faith leaders, elected officials at both the city and the county level. And we're here together with a unified message to our city. For the past week, Cincinnati has been dealing with a serious challenge. A challenge because of the awful and horrific fight in our downtown last weekend. A challenge because of both the speculation and legitimate conversations raised because of it at both the local and national level, and a challenge because of the ongoing work that everyone at this podium and partners throughout our community have been investing our time and resources into to ensure the safety and vibrancy of every community in Cincinnati. This was an awful incident, and our law enforcement has been working quickly and effectively to bring all responsible to justice. Let me be clear, there is no place for violent crime in Cincinnati. Whether it's a fight or gun violence, we will pursue those responsible and we will hold them accountable no matter who they are, period. We will spare no expense in the pursuit of safety and justice. We have the best police department in the country. They do an extraordinarily difficult job and a dangerous job every single day, and we have their backs. We have their backs with resources and with uniform political support. And our expectation, our commitment, is that they enforce our laws. The Cincinnati of today has revitalized our urban core, from OTR to the banks, into a community where folks from all around want to come, live, and work, and spend their time. We have brought new residents and growth after decades of population decline. We are an economically, civically, and culturally strong city, and we will never stop doing everything in our power to maintain and grow that strength. We look forward to once again taking your questions about where we are, what we're focused on, and what we're doing, as we've done every step of the way this summer through our bi-weekly updates and press conferences. But first, I'd like to emphasize an important message, that we as a community are united. We are on the right track, and we have been implementing a coordinated strategy since taking office that has delivered substantial progress on all of our goals, on safety, on economic development and growth, on new housing and jobs and thriving neighborhoods throughout the city. It's not lost on any of us how much work there is still left to do. From City Hall to the county to our business leaders, faith, community, and labor leaders, all of us have been laser focused on collaborating to build a brighter Cincinnati. I want to thank our partners for standing strong and together for what has been a transformative period in Cincinnati's history. Because make no mistake, our communities have more strength, more opportunity, and more momentum right now because of that work. But all of what we've accomplished, where we want to go as a city, is only possible when residents are safe and when, importantly, they feel safe spending time in our public spaces. And while the data shows the progress that we've made, it means nothing if the public perception does not match. And currently, too many Cincinnatians don't feel safe. All of us, especially me, are clear-eyed and working urgently to fix that. We have to make the city safer right now. In Cincinnati, preventing violent crime has been our singular top priority. And our budget, our words, and our actions all reflect that. I'm proud that under the leadership of City Manager Long and Police Chief Thigi, and in collaboration with the county, local businesses, and community partners, we have not just made sure the resources are there, but that we have listened to and adjusted with the data and experiences that the residents are telling us. And that has, of course, included strong, consistent investment in our law enforcement and our public safety approach as a whole, and a clear focus on making adjustments based on what the data and our residents are telling us. Just this summer, as we've targeted concerning crime trends, we have implemented and regularly updated residents on new police task forces going after street-level crimes, new walking patrols in our urban core to increase visibility, and a rollout of a new drone program as first responders. However, any violence, any tragedy is inexcusable in our city. It is our responsibility as city leaders, it is my responsibility as your mayor to fix it. There is obviously more work to be done, particularly in our downtown, but our strategies and investments have led to a significant decrease in citywide crime. And as Chief Teresa Thigi will further discuss in detail, this is a moment to double down on the investments and strategies that have driven the progress that we've seen so far. Before I welcome the city manager to speak, thank you to all our police here in Cincinnati for your exceptional service and your sacrifice. From our CDRT and SWAT teams to the task force patrolling our hotspots, to every officer upholding their oath to protect the residents they represent. It is because of you that all of this is possible. And thank you to all our partners here locally and beyond for helping us in this critical work. As we've announced, Governor DeWine has not hesitated to come to the table in support of our Cincinnati efforts with public safety resources to strengthen our local law enforcement approach. That is the kind of public service based in real action and collaboration that makes every community here and throughout Ohio a better place. Governor DeWine is a good man with a proven track record of putting communities over partisan politics, and I'm grateful for his collaboration and partnership. I'll end with this. Cincinnati is a special place. We are a proudly diverse city with a large and vibrant Black community that is rich in tradition and in history. The racial dynamics of this fight are unavoidable, and some have cynically used the opportunity to try and divide us along racial lines. That is a choice we must firmly reject. But rising to challenges like this, to create something even brighter, is nothing new for Cincinnati. This is the city that served as the gateway to freedom on the Underground Railroad. This is the city where out of tragedy we built a community-driven national model for problem-solving oriented policing in the collaborative agreement. We have the scars to show the hard work that it has taken to get us to this point, and our community is stronger because of how we have responded together. Now is not the time to turn away from each other, but to reach toward our shared humanity, irrespective of race and creed. That is the story of Cincinnati's past. It is the strength of our present, and I'm confident it will lead us into the future. We will continue to come together to work toward creating more shared prosperity and to build more momentum as a united front. That momentum is not going anywhere, and neither am I. Thank you, and I will welcome City Manager Cheryl Long.
Thank you, Mayor. Cincinnati is a city of unity. The evidence is standing here with us today. The people who lead our communities, build our future, and connect us to the world. If you live here, you see why people want to call Cincinnati home. You see it in our riverfront, our entertainment, our culture, our neighborhoods, and you feel it in our people who are passionate, creative, and full of life. If you live here, you know the character of our city. We rely on each other, support each other, and lift each other up, and refuse to let hate define us. We live beautiful and rich lives. Yes, tensions are high right now, but if you live here, you know we will get through this period and come out stronger together. If you live here, or if you visited here, you know that. Everyone standing here knows that. Everyone behind the cameras today knows that. The only people who don't know that are people who don't know Cincinnati. My staff, which is more than 6,000 dedicated public servants, are working around the clock to deliver services, protect our communities, and build our future. I stand here today on behalf of all of them. There is no excuse for these folks who come to work for the benefit of everyone to receive abusive, hateful, harassing, and bigoted language, which unfortunately has been happening all week long. It needs to stop. As always, I'm proud to stand here with the Police Chief, Teresa Thigi, and commend the entire department on the work they do for this incident specifically and around the clock, day in and day out. As city manager, it's my responsibility to amplify what they've told me. They need your help. If you see something suspicious or if you're in a dangerous situation, call 911. When your phone comes out, don't open Instagram Live. Call the police. Keep your firearms at home and lock them up securely. We are one city, one region. We rely on each other. Our strength is our togetherness, and our future depends on it. If you live here or if you visited here, this is not a surprise. You know that. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Long time no see, huh? All right. Fellow Cincinnatians, I stand firmly behind my initial statement. What we all witnessed in the viral video released early Saturday morning was not only disturbing, it was outright cruel. It was an act of violence that shook us all. Let me be clear, every single person who played a role in that attack will be held accountable. Trust me when I say this. Had the Cincinnati Police Department been notified in real time, our officers would have responded with urgency and force to protect life. We rely on the eyes and voices of our community because silence in moments like this can be dangerous. As of today, our investigative teams have identified 6 victims, 5 males, 1 female, each subjected to unimaginable physical violence. Our thoughts are with them as they begin to heal from this traumatic event, knowing their lives have been forever changed. Through relentless work, CPD has now charged 6 individuals with felonious assault and aggravated rioting. Of those, 3 have been arrested and their names have been released to the public. Our Fugitive Apprehension Unit is actively pursuing the remaining 3, whose names will be released upon capture. This remains an open investigation, and I want to assure you, we will not stop until justice is fully served. But this incident is more than an isolated tragedy. It points to a broader challenge, a revolving door of justice. As I stand here today as the police chief, people can take punches at me all day long. That's fine. That's fine. I'll take them. Our officers risk their life daily to remove violent offenders from the streets, only to see them released quickly and sometimes without consequences. This cycle must end. We cannot and should not ask our officers to bear this burden alone. the criminal justice system must work in full cooperation with all entities doing their part to ensure lasting safety for our community. Despite these challenges, the men and women of the Cincinnati Police Department show up every day giving 100%. From innovative violence reduction strategies to day-to-day problem-solving efforts, we do it because we care deeply about this city and everyone who calls it home. To our citizens, we need you. We need your eyes, your voice, and your trust. I'm confident that if we all work together, we can create a safer and stronger Cincinnati. I want to add one bit of information for you that I received today. Yesterday, a member of the executive board for the Hamilton County Chiefs Association reached out to me very kindly to check on my well-being, and I'm grateful for that. During that conversation, I made a request for the organization, the Hamilton County Police Chiefs Association, to form a committee to work on this ecosystem of our justice system here in the county. You know, it used to be I'd wake up in the morning, see the news, find out we had a shooting in Cincinnati. Now it's also troubling that I wake up and I see that there are shootings in some of our suburb areas as well. So this revolving justice system affects the entire county. And so our organization will be forming a committee, and we will ask prosecutors, common pleas judges, municipal court judges, juvenile court judges to join us to find out how can we collectively work for a safer Cincinnati and for a safer Hamilton County. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pureval, and everybody gathered here in support of our great city. I'm Sheriff Charmaine McGuffey, and as Sheriff of this county, I remain deeply committed to protecting public safety, upholding justice, not just through enforcement, but through intentional, strong partnerships with strategic vision. And, you know, this is about aligning the right services for intervention with our outreach professionals, with treatment providers, and with law enforcement. Civic leaders will also help us, and we're committed to working as one system, the criminal justice system, so that we can bring some solutions and law and order to Hamilton County and the city of Cincinnati. I'm proud to continue a strong partnership with the city, and I know that these lasting solutions that we will work towards and find are going to bring in agencies from across this region. They're going to bring in police departments, communities, and we are going to ensure safety and law and order. Every resident who works or lives in this city will feel the impact of that because they will understand that we have created a safer environment in this city and county. This working relationship will be led with integrity, compassion, effectiveness, and transparency. As your sheriff, I'm all in for the county. I'm all in for the city and for the criminal justice system that we must utilize and strengthen our partnerships and bring real solutions, and solutions that include law and order to this city and this county. Thank you very much.
Finally, we will have a faith leader, Pastor David Lynch.
Thank you, Mayor, and to all of us gathered, to the chief, the sheriff, the council members. I agree, and I'm excited to stand with the mayor and others saying that safety has to be the #1 priority in our city. Across our city, every social demographic wants to live in a safe city. And in saying that, let me address briefly the racializing and politicizing of this event that happened this past weekend. We would not be here, and this would not be national news. This would not be national news if this was a group of black people that jumped on other black people. It would not be national news if it happened in Montgomery Inn and somebody beat down two elderly white people. But obviously it's national news because it's been racialized. So let's walk back. For those who want to racialize this, it was a fight that took place. It was a black man and a white man, one-on-one. They were facing each other, and no punches were thrown. A kick was tried that didn't land. And for those who want to racialize it, then a black man stepped in between the combatants, separated them, and said, "This is enough, stop fighting, everybody needs to chill." And then for those who want to racialize it, the white man then steps back in the ring and slaps not the black man that he had just squared up with, but slaps another black man. So after that, he was met with disproportionate force. For those who want to politicize it, the J.D. Vances and the Vivek Ramaswamis and the Bernie Marinos and the Christopher Smithermans and many others who want to politicize it, they have not yet said something that I always hear when a black person, say, runs from the police and then is met with disproportionate force, sometimes ending their life. What we hear is, well, why did they run? Why didn't they just comply? We hear that every time. But I've yet to hear anybody say, why didn't he just walk away? So let me back up so you understand this. Two combatants, one black, one white. A black man steps in, breaks it up. The white guy re-engages, slaps, not the black man that he had just squared up with, but slaps another black man. And nobody's asking, why didn't he just walk away? And so when I see, and I don't know who else the chief is looking for or CPD is looking for, but when I see the mugshots, I only see people who look like me. I don't see the person who re-engaged, slapped not the initial person, but slapped another black man. So I don't see the slapper's mugshot. And so sadly, I have to agree with those who are politicizing this and racializing this. I have to agree with the Smithermans, the Ramaswamis, the Marinos, Corey Bowman. This is racial because it is unequal justice. And so until we see all the mugshots, this is still a racial issue. So let me say again to those in Cincinnati, it's Friday night, and we know people like to go out on Friday night. Here's what I would ask. Because of what happened this past weekend, we don't want to see it happen again. Drink responsibly, take care of one another, and everybody get home safe. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor. I'm truly grateful for the outpouring from every sector of our city here today and over this past week. It has been a challenging time. But we have been and will continue to respond innovatively, with urgency, because it cannot be lost that violent crime has no place in our city, period. To that end, in partnership with the governor, the police chief will be deploying state highway patrol on our highways inside of our city. I want to be very clear that CPD will still be exclusively responding to calls for service, that the highway patrol will be used specifically on the highways, and that will free up significant CPD resources in order to deploy police officers in our urban core. Our priority right now is public safety and police visibility. In addition to that, the chief will be directing CDRT and SWAT, who have been deployed every single weekend through the year in our urban core, starting at the banks. They will now expand the footprint of CDRT and SWAT to include 4th Street. We are also announcing a new bike patrol that will monitor the Fountain District in order to increase our visibility, and we're actively engaged with the sheriff on collaborating on the Court Street area. We are by no means finished. we have more work to do. We are meeting this moment with urgency, but we are also meeting this moment with a shared and deep understanding of Cincinnati's history, of the progress that we've made to get us here, and an undeniable vision that our best days are ahead of us. With that, we'll take your questions.
How many officers did you guys have in the central business district at the time this assault happened?
Chief?
We had 11, and we narrowed that window down because I knew this question would come. So from 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. specifically, we had 11 officers working, and that is not counting off-duty details that may have been in the area.
That's in the central business district?
Correct.
How come there weren't more officers? I know you even said it, that you wouldn't want your family to be downtown when the bars close. The bars close, they don't let out until 3 o'clock in the morning. How come there weren't more officers, and so many officers, I guess, were let go at 2 o'clock that morning?
So this is a weekend that we've had for many years, music festival, Reds games, whatever's going on. This is not new territory for us as far as policing. We work with a schedule that we think is best for the events that are occurring. Normally, come 2 a.m. on this weekend, things start to calm down for us. We still had 11 officers working. To us, that is a sufficient number of officers to have in the central business section for this weekend.
Arguably, this incident would not have occurred had there not been a large group of people gathered outside the Love on 4th bar. There have been 84 incidents since that bar opened at that location. 84 incidents that police have been called at that location since it opened. Why not have police at that location if you're getting called there every weekend anyway?
Because the geographical area of the central business section is more than just that corner. And we owe it to the entire community down there to cover as much geographical area as we can with the resources that we have. So, yes, we know we've had calls for service there. That's why we have our VICE unit. That's why we have neighborhood liaison units from CBS who pay attention to what's going on there. But to take all of my resources and put them on one corner for one problematic bar or potentially problematic bar would be irresponsible to the rest of the central business section.
This is a place that's...
David, I'll take your question as well. I'd like to look at the complaint data because what I do know is that there was a very problematic bar across the street where we were getting significant calls for service. And this team worked collaboratively and effectively to shut that place down. What I can say is all public nuisance concerns go through the city solicitor's office and that we take all complaints very seriously and investigate them and will hold them accountable if necessary.
Mayor, I have a couple questions for you.
Yep.
First, I've been on this all week, and the first time at a press conference, at least, we've heard any type of narrative about what happened here was from Pastor Lynch. Why is this the first time we're hearing a start-to-end narrative, and do you agree that that's what happened in this incident?
So the reason we city leaders have been very specific in talking about the facts is because the investigation is still ongoing. I agree with Pastor Lynch that there is no doubt that this public safety challenge, that this incident will require further investigation, further charges, and further arrests for every single person involved. The investigation is ongoing, and I expect that we will have more charges and more arrests as the investigation proceeds.
And on the note of state aid here, one of the things that was offered was additional resources for post-release control. When we reached out to DG yesterday, she indicated that they're working on evaluating how that can be implemented before accepting it. But we've had 2 people charged with murder this summer alone after cutting off their ankle bracelets. Why is this not something we're ready to accept now?
We are happy for the state to do their job, which is to track down these parolees who are cutting off their ankle monitors. We encourage and ask that they do that. What the chief is communicating to you is that if that enforcement is stepped up, which would be welcome, because as you have indicated, there's been incidents where these folks haven't been picked up by state authorities. We are just asking for that collaboration.
If this is a problem area, how come there's no city cameras or no working city cameras that picked up the incident? Or do you rely on the 3 CDC cameras, which aren't public record?
Yeah, so we have a very robust CEPTED program where we work to harden locations, including videos. We collaborate extensively with private businesses. Actually, I'll ask the chief to talk through that in order to rely not just on city cameras, but on private cameras as well, and not just in businesses, but also at homes. And we are actively trying to increase that presence. Chief?
I do understand that it is, obviously people have seen what happened, and I think the public has a right to see how this unfolded from the start to the end. Will this footage be made available to the public?
Yeah, I'll ask the chief to respond to that.
Yes, Karen. So to your point about cameras and additional information, Reverend Lynch explained what he saw when he saw the footage, which is the footage that has been extensively viewed by public. Probably early next week, I will be releasing additional footage, including body-worn camera. That tells a little bit more of the story, but right now, I need to let the investigators continue to do their job. If I release too much, too soon, even though there's a very strong appetite for it, I jeopardize the integrity of the investigation, and that would not be good for anybody involved.
Mayor, you said that you've already shut down another bar in that area. 84 complaints to that particular address, 2 liquor violations at the state. What does it take to get some corrective action at that location?
It takes the city solicitor's office doing their investigation on the complaints, which is absolutely ongoing. And as that investigation proceeds, and we actually have the facts about whether the complaints are justified and backed up by evidence, then we will of course take corrective action. But at this point, it's too soon to comment on that.
I talk about the revolving door.
One second. Becca, go ahead, then you'll be next.
Chief, can you talk more about this revolving door committee you mentioned? Who will appoint the members? When will they start meeting? And are you asking for any action to happen before those committees' recommendations are out?
Yeah, so it's a very new idea, a new concept. I will be working with the executive board of the Hamilton County Police Chiefs Association to determine exactly that. Who will be on the committee? We will reach out to the entities that I mentioned, see who they would like to represent them at the table, so that we can move this topic forward.
Chief Levy, this is an ongoing investigation, obviously, but there's been a lot of outside conversation outside of Cincinnati. Can you tell us anything about the people that you say could possibly be charged? Are they from this area? Are they local? Or are you using other cities as resources to help get those people captured?
Yeah, so right now, I'm not going to reveal that because, like I said, our fugitive apprehension unit is looking. Our investigators are still working. And again, I do not want to tip our hat to anything too soon. Yes, sir.
Chief, one question. The street crime task force, are they going to be assigned later with all this, like past 3 a.m., or what does it look like with them?
Yeah, so the street crimes task force, their hours fluctuate, and that's by design. I cannot stand here and reveal to you where all of our resources are going to be, what day of the week, what time of the day. Because if I stand here and tell you, hey, the street crimes task force is going to be out Saturday till 2 a.m., somebody who's thinking about committing a crime is like, well, okay, I'll go out at 2:30 a.m. So I'm not going to reveal. That's a tactical strategy of ours that needs to be kept very, very close to us.
Sheriff, I have a question for you if you don't mind. The chief had said earlier that...
Excuse me, sir. I'd ask you to talk to the sheriff after the press conference. We're focused on city officials for Q&A, but I'm happy to take any question that you have.
I mean, this mostly pertains to her, and you had her speak, so I assumed that that would be fair game, but sure. You talked about significant decrease in citywide crime. What numbers do you have to support that? Where are the statistics on that, and what specific types of crimes? Are we talking violent crimes, car break-ins? Where are we at with that?
Yeah, violent crime. We do a bi-weekly update and press conference on the recent crime stats. We've been doing that for the last month, if not more. And what we have shown is our violent crime is down, but there's a concerning increase in burglaries, in breaking and enterings, and shootings in some specific areas, which is why we responded forcefully with a street crimes task force that is using the data about where these hotspot areas are to increase our enforcement and our police visibility. It's why we're using drones as first responders, particularly in these areas, in order to drive those numbers down. And we've talked a lot about our police response, but it's why we have problem-solving initiatives, particularly at Smale Park and in other hotspot areas, in order to not just rely on police, but take a comprehensive view in trying to reduce the crime.
And I'll tailor my
Go
other
ahead.
question that I have for you. You talked about often violent offenders are released quickly without consequence. I believe the chief's the one that said that. Do we have a jail system in this county that can support longer jail stays for violent offenders, given the volume that we have within the city?
Yes.
So a Facebook post from Councilmember Victoria Park, went viral earlier this week. It said, I think the quote is, "The victims begged for that beatdown." There have been some calls online for her resignation and from a couple local officials. I'm wondering if you have a comment on that.
Yeah, I've commented on this already. I profoundly disagree with Councilmember Victoria Parks. No one deserves to be a victim of violent crime, ever. And we are working very hard to make sure that that fight like that doesn't happen again in our city. She hasn't asked a question. Folks, go ahead.
Well, the man that Pastor Lynch was talking about, who made the slap, you could see on some of the cameras on social media, will he be facing charges?
We are actively investigating him. We take all violence very seriously. As I mentioned, I expect more charges and more arrests. Go ahead, Scott.
Do you still have confidence in the police chief?
Absolutely.
This is for attention, Chief. Earlier this week, you did reprimand the media a bit about the release of the video. A lot of times our hands are tied as far as what we can show. Why hasn't the other part of the video been released by CPD earlier?
Because it's an ongoing investigation. I had met with the investigators this morning. They are very, very good at their job. I need to respect their wishes as they continue this investigation. And at that time, their wishes were, we need to hold back this video. We're still investigating. Yes, ma'am?
As you're talking about the revolving justice system, was the prosecutor invited today or anybody from her office here to talk
I'll
about
leave
it?
that to the mayor.
Yes, the prosecutor is with her son who's getting married.
This has obviously inflamed pre-existing racial tensions here in the greater Cincinnati area, and those tensions will still exist once this story dies down and goes away. How do you address the underlying racial tensions in this area in the long term?
Well, it's overt racial tensions that have been inflamed by irresponsible leaders who have unfortunately cynically tried to take advantage of this awful fight and try and divide us. Cincinnati has a long history of being on the very front foot of racial justice. As I talked about, we are the city of the Underground Railroad, Harriet Beecher Stowe, the collaborative agreement, which is the national model for problem-solving policing. And there's no doubt that cities our size that are so diverse, we are essentially a 50% black and 50% white city, that there's no doubt that these racial, if I could finish your question, there's no doubt that any city our size with that diverse of a population has to work intentionally about racial justice, about racial healing, and that is exactly what our mission is to do, which is why we're bringing together such a diverse group of community leaders today, which is why I'm going to speak very frankly about the folks who are trying to divide us along racial lines, and which is why we are a very proud, diverse city, and that will continue to be central to our strength. Councilmember Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, you asked a question, and you're part of the media. We've had over 38 homicides in this city. And I have not seen a loop even close to those 38 homicides to what the media has continuously showed day in and day out. So when you continuously run a loop where you have national leaders that are speaking irresponsible, showing black and white people trying to knock each other's heads off, what role do you play, media, in continually showing that level of violence? What role do you play in quoting misdirected national leaders talking about a city that is on the right track, but they're doing everything they can to try to take us off the track? What role do you play, media, in that? And what you'll say, and let me finish, what you'll say is you're just reporting the news. But I'll say to you, when you continuously show a loop and you continuously report misguided, misdirected national leaders trying to slam our city, you have to ask your question. You have got to ask yourself, what role are you playing?
We all know that it's a lot easier to divide, particularly along racial lines, in a city our size that is as diverse as we are. We have seen it throughout the history of Cincinnati. And every time we've been faced with this kind of racial challenge, the way forward that has been shown time and time again is to have honest conversations, to bring people together, and to collaboratively work on a brighter, more equitable, and more just city. That is the challenge in front of the city leaders today. And it is my hope and my vision to learn from our history, to bring us together, to be clear-eyed about what is in the best interest of our city, and what is not in the best interest of our city is to blame and to use racial ideology to prevent us from coming together. That is not the Cincinnati of our past or today. And in order for us to confront this challenge again, I'm asking for all of us to reach towards each other's shared humanity and work together and collaboratively with me to fix that. Go ahead.
I know there's been a lot of talk about different type of patrols and what we're doing. So for someone like myself who lives in the downtown area, and what can people who are going out to eat or just going out to any of the activities this week, what should they expect when they are downtown, safety-wise? Because I know there's so many different patrols. So can you just kind of clarify what they might see and how they know they could be safe?
What they're going to see is the city's prioritization of visibility. They're going to see police officers on foot. They're going to see police officers on bike patrols. They're going to see police officers in squad cars. They're going to see police officers on Segways and on Segways that have 3 wheels. We are prioritizing visibility in our urban core in order to not just maintain safety, but also to make sure that people feel safe when they're going out. Yes, go ahead. Behind.
You talked about the state and the governor offering assistance. The governor talked about you not accepting all of that assistance. So you talk about maybe why you picked and choose certain things to accept.
Yeah, when the governor called me and we started collaborating on a partnership, I made it clear to him that what we need most is police visibility. And that's why Highway Patrol, doing what they're already currently charged to do, which is patrol our highways, frees up our CPD officers to drive more visibility into the urban core. As I mentioned earlier, we need the state to be more active in enforcing parole, folks on parole who are cutting their ankle monitors, and we welcome that. The other interventions offered by the governor weren't necessarily congruent with the challenges that we're facing and weren't necessarily needed at this time. But of course, the governor is a trusted partner. As I mentioned, he's a solid leader for our state, and I welcome and will hope to continue collaborating with him in the future.
Can you tell us what those measures were that you didn't accept?
I don't have them. I don't have the full list in front of
Can
me.
I ask about the victims here? I know everyone knows who Polly is by now. Chief, you said there are 5 other victims. Has anyone here had a conversation with the victims, reached out, and how are they doing?
So I personally have not spoken with the victims. Their first interaction was with a beat officer the night of the incident, and they have had continual conversations with my investigators as representatives of CPD.
Anyone else? Megan,
Any other
have you-
questions?
Have you reached out to the victims? Have you talked to the victims?
I have not. I mean, look, again, this was a fight. It was a horrific fight. But as council member and others have said, we have significant other public safety challenges. We have children who are far too often the victims of gun violence. We have oftentimes far too often the perpetrators of gun violence being children. We have violent crime like every other major city across the nation that requires our attention and our bandwidth. And so I don't traditionally meet or speak to every victim of violent crime in our city, and that's consistent with my approach today. Other questions?
I just want to give the chief the opportunity to answer the question I asked you earlier. Will that man who made the slap that Pastor Lynch was talking about face charges?
So we were contacted just yesterday asking the investigators to go to the Justice Center, speak with him. He is represented by counsel. The investigators are aware of that. They spoke to his counsel before they went down to see him, and the counsel said no. He did not want the police talking to his client, so therefore we have not had a conversation with him yet. I want to go back to the question, though, real quick about the state resources. So the state patrol patrolling the highways is nothing new. We do it with them all the time. They come in and join us when we do our traffic blitzes. The aviation, nothing new. They've been working with the Street Crimes Task Force for a couple weeks now. Nothing new. The parole, absolutely, as the mayor said, I would love for them to come into our city and look for their violators. Absolutely. What we didn't discuss, though, is if they would do that solely on their own or if there would be an integration with CPD. And if there's a wish for an integration with CPD, then we have to talk about what that looks like. As a police chief, I would never just want to open the door for any other law enforcement agency to come into our city without making sure they're going to police like we police and that we are in agreement on the mission and the goal and how to get there. They also offered up the Ohio Investigative Unit. Our vice unit works with them all the time. So that's nothing new. They offered up some data analytics. I have an extremely talented crime analysis unit that do all the data that I need. So that was one that we said, thank you, but right now we don't need that. And if there's anything else that he would like to offer up, if the need is there, I am happy to collaborate with the state.
How long will the collaboration?
Scott, one second. I think what I want to reiterate about what the chief just said is that our CPD, our police officers, are well-funded, well-trained, and they really are the best in the country. They have the resources, the talent, and the support in order to effectively police this city. I'm grateful for the governor's partnership in the very specific way that we are working together. And if that changes, we will continue that conversation with the governor. But at this point, I have full confidence in the men and women in our police department to do their job. Full confidence. Go ahead, Scott.
Is the highway patrol, this collaboration, is this indefinitely or is
No,
there a time limit?
we're going to take a look at it week to week. We expect it to be a short-term intervention. We'll take 2 more questions.
Chief, you talked about the data analysis that goes on at the district. I've spoken to some of those analysts, but we hear a lot of skepticism and people accusing city officials of lying about the data or intentionally misleading people about the data. You know, what assurance can you give people about why they might be confused about different numbers or what different numbers might mean?
I think one of you asked me this question once before, and again, I am completely confident in our Crime Analysis and Problem Solving Unit, CAPS for short, and their ability to pull the data, they know how to read the data, and how to compare it to time frames. Not only are they really good at that, they are really good at suggesting operationally what that means to the department and how we should read the data, interpret it, so that we can move forward with some of our strategies. I have 100% confidence in the data that comes out of our CAPS unit. One more?
When it comes to this committee, will judges be a part of it? I know as judges, they're the ones who are often setting bail and being in room A, all those different rooms, we're seeing some of the things you're talking about. Are you going to try to have them be part of this committee?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, this really just came to fruition a couple of hours ago. But the idea, when I was talking to the executive board member, was absolutely to include municipal judges, common pleas judges, juvenile judges.
Yeah, and as we continue to collaborate on strengthening our justice system, the judges have been at the table with the chief, with the city manager, and myself to make sure that we're working collaboratively. Thank you all so much.